Hello, world. It is Monday, November 15th, 2021, and at least in Defiance, it's a beautiful sunny day with blue skies, but cold. It was 34 degrees when I went out running this morning, but it's always nice when the sun is able to be felt and seen. The devotion for today is entitled Healing the Wounds of War by Vicki Kemper. Vicki bases the devotion upon 1 Samuel 4, verse 16, New Revised Standard Version. The man said to Eli, I have just come from the battle. I fled from the battle today. He said, How did it go, my son? And Vicki writes, At the height of the U.S. war in Iraq, I interviewed the head chaplain at what was then the Walter Reed Army Medical Center, the hospital for soldiers who had sustained the most severe life-altering injuries in Iraq and Afghanistan. A former anti-war journalist turned would-be peacemaking seminarian, I wanted to understand how to serve people whose bodies, minds, and lives had been shattered by war. The hospital itself was a battlefield, a place where individuals, families, medical staff, and chaplains struggled valiantly to overcome what war had wrought. I saw a young man holding his head in one hand while the other rested on the bandage stump where the rest of his left leg should have been. Marines cruised the halls in wheelchairs. A young man learned to attach his arm prostheses. A baby-faced double amputee was wheeled out of the huge physical therapy complex by his mother. Everything I learned only deepened my opposition to war, but I had not expected to encounter the servant Christ in an army uniform or to see the suffering Christ in wounded soldiers. I had not expected to experience that heartbreaking place as holy ground or to be convinced that our hopes for peace rest in part on our commitment to healing the wounds of war. As a 95-year-old church member who at 19 helped liberate the Dora Mittelbau concentration camp regularly reminds me, we have much work to do. In Vicki's prayer, Prince of Peace, even as we care for the wounds of war, let us resolve to create no more of them. Amen. Well, as I read this devotion, it was a reminder of the aftermath of a war, so much of which is actually hidden and unseen. Yes, there are soldiers who come back who are physically wounded, but so many more are morally wounded and struggling with what they've seen, with what they did, with what the things they've experienced, the things that happened to their friends and comrades in the service. And war is a terrible thing. It also reminded me of how quick we are to spend money fighting the war, but not so quick on spending money to create situations in which war can be avoided. And I'm not talking sanctions or anything like that, but actually helping people, instilling goodwill around the world, using our money for that. We fail so many times to preempt war by sowing goodwill and being good Samaritans around the world, and yet are very quick to move to the actual war and all the violence that it brings up. The other thing the devotion reminded me is seeing Christ in others, especially in those who are coming back from war, who may be physically or mentally or emotionally troubled. We still need to care for them and work even harder to make sure we don't create more of them. Hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you again tomorrow.